Now, once we've introduced keyframes for scale in this case, it's probably worthwhile to point out that if I were to click back on the stopwatch that is now blue for the keyframes for scale, it immediately erases everything I've done. So you want to be careful. This is how you initiate it, but then if you want to move keyframes or delete them, you should do that from within the timeline here. So I can click on these keyframes, I can move them if I so choose, or if they're undesirable, I can just hit delete on the keyboard. But that's something to be careful of. Don't click on that clock again once you've dropped a series of keyframes unless you're absolutely sure you want to delete them all and start over. All right, so that's pretty good. So let's go ahead and introduce another clip and take a look at another one of these transform functions that are in After Effects. So I'm going to collapse that series of transform windows. And I'm going to go up to my project window. I'm going to open the folder, and let's get picture number 1 from that. And I'll click and drag it onto screen. And you're going to notice immediately that as we introduce these still images, that they go the entire length of our composition. All right, so let's go ahead and line this up at the end of the first clip. So I'm going to click and I'm going to first of all move it down in layer order. So I'll drag it down below by clicking on the picture icon, just like moving a layer in Photoshop. And then I'm going to put the playback head at the end of the first clip we introduced. I'll shift and snap, then I'll select the clip below, and now I'm going to put my cursor over the beginning of the clip. With my left mouse, I'll drag it, hold the shift key, and snap to the end of clip number 1. So we're trying to create this stairway from top to bottom to keep our clips organized in some sort of a workable fashion. Now I want this clip to be 5 seconds long as well, so I'm going to go over to my time code in the left hand corner, and I'm going to put in 1000, which is the equivalent of 10 seconds, and now I'm going to cut clip number 2 at that point in time. So I'll put my cursor over the far right hand edge of it. When I see the 2-headed horizontal arrow, I'll click and drag, hold the shift key, and snap. Let's return our playback head to the beginning of that new clip. So I'll shift and snap to the beginning of clip number 2. And I'm going to open up the transform features. And we're going to have this thing move in position. So I'll take that image, and I'm going to drag it off to the left-hand side of the screen. And I'll drop the first keyframe for position by clicking on the time clock in the layer window over to the left. And once again, you'll see that the clock has turned blue, and there's a corresponding keyframe at the location of our playback head for position. Now we're going to move in time to, we'll put in second number 7. And then I'll drag my clip back onto the screen like so. So now if I were to go ahead and preview that, now in order to do that, if you recall, we had moved our work area render bar here. I'm going to just stretch that out beyond that second animation. Now when I tap the space bar to play, it will preview, once it's built a RAM cache, that edit that I just made. There we go. Alright, so there was the scale, and then there's position.